Warm seat, warm, sweaty, yeah. Here we go. Yeah, listen, I thought we played great for 25, 26 minutes. Up 20, up 20, really guarding, and really, I thought, pretty sharp offensively. And, some breakdowns for us. Obviously, I think the amount of fouling, the amount of times we kind of put them at the line allowed, I think, AJ to get a rhythm going, and then that's as high a level of shot making as you're going to see in college basketball. I mean, that guy, with the threes, and he hasn't been making the threes at least to start the year. He's been a rim guy, but he was, he had the whole bag going tonight. And then they're just, I think we're a much better defensive team. They obviously closed the game. I think, on a heck of a run. But that's when you got, Saunders, Wright, and DeBonza. You got three guys like that on the perimeter. That's some serious firepower. But, I thought we looked like an awesome team for 25 minutes. Obviously the last 15 minutes, we just kind of hung on and weren't very good against pressure. And then, lost some integrity on the ball. But, the foul trouble obviously hurt. But I, credit BYU and those guys. They showed some real fight today. I mean, they could have they could have walked out of here, lost by 20 easily. But those guys dug their heels in and showed, that the coach is a heck of a coach, and they got a real culture and a real chance to compete for championships.
Did you like the job by and large? I mean, obviously AJ got his. Jalen and Jaden kind of did on him for about, for most of the game anyway.
Yeah, I mean the foul trouble hurt, but the foul trouble happened. I mean, some of it was self-inflicted, but some of it is, you're guarding maybe the best offensive player, in college basketball, potential number one pick. I mean, I just thought there were times early in the second half, where he posted us some and he went like tap, tap. And on the second tap, I think we could have got like an offensive foul on him. But we got a little like sloppy, with the technique. And then once he got it going, that's what players that are as special as him just start doing. But I thought we actually guarded him well. I mean, the first half, you couldn't have guarded him better than we guarded him the first half.
Dan, you talked about the journey ahead for Silas, and it'll be a long one as it is for him becoming a great point guard. Was tonight a big jump for him in the way he played overall and some of the plays he made down the stretch?
Yeah, I mean, that's just exactly what we need at that position. Plus, the guy's a ball hawk, too. And he obviously showed that he's clutch, and he's able to get to the free throw line. He's able to put pressure on the rim. That's something we haven't had. We did not have last year. A guy that can get to the rim, get in the paint, finish, get to the free throw line. Made a huge baseline, runner, and I think the guy is going to keep getting better and better. And we needed that from him. I thought Jaden Ross was awesome tonight in 12 minutes, but he got in foul trouble. But we had some problems on the wing tonight. Jalen and Solo both had subpar offensive games, and so we needed that from Silas, and he delivered.
Despite 9 turnovers in the second half, you guys shot 56% from the field. What did you see as the key to continuing to generate points in the paint and just stay in rhythm?
Yeah, we just had problems, and I credit BYU. They mixed their defenses up. They showed the diamond. They showed a diamond trap in the first pass. They showed a softer diamond. They showed some zone. They switched some possessions. Some other possessions they didn't switch. We had some breakdowns in communication. And then, there were probably 7 or 8 of those turnovers that were just self-inflicted, bizarre shit. And, if we don't turn the ball over that many times, we probably could have gotten the high 90s tonight in terms of scoring the ball.
And then saw you talking to AJ after the game. What was your message to him?
Just the growth, I mean, and his approach. And, sometimes you watch these kids, they come into college, these high draft picks. I mean, it's been over the course of years and years and years. And, you could see on film the entitlement, the spoiled entitlement, the not guarding, they're not like being about team and like so you're on the lead up watching the film. Like I think maybe in the Nebraska scrimmage or the Nebraska exhibition was like a couple possessions where he was kind of leaking a little bit, like leaking out, not getting on the glass. But then I'm watching the evolution, from game to tonight. I mean, this guy's out there guarding. He's on the backboard. He's communicating with his teammates. I mean, he's playing with a level of desperation to win the game. For a guy that's going to be maybe the number one pick, it's just there's like a little refreshing to see the guy and the mental toughness. I mean, his first half was a mess, and for him to be able to put that behind him back home and put that second half performance on was as good as you'll see from a freshman. And I told him that.
I think that Terrace, obviously this was going to be a physical game, but it felt like he sort of dominated inside, especially early in the sort of.
Yeah, I mean, Taras is still working back, too. I mean, Taras was not, I know it sounds, he did not, play up to his level today with 21 and 8. I mean, this guy is, I thought he could have been better. We missed him a few times. He posted off the block when he had a physical advantage, when he should have been ducking in deep and just turning and scoring. He posted up off the block, which allowed them to dig and trap the post. But the ceiling is real high for Taras. I mean, Taras has a chance to be one of the best centers in the country the whole year. And he is still working his way back from the hamstring. So he's going to keep getting better and better.
In previous years, your offensive scheming has opened up a lot on the perimeter. Not to say that it hasn't this year, but it seems that the team has been doing a better job generating space on the inside from inside of the arc. Is this something that you've been highlighting and focusing on, or is it something that was always there, but it's just especially clicking this year?
Yeah, I think going with Adama, I think going back to some of the ways we used Adama, because Taras has got more similarities to Adama, where you're more of a post-up team. And I think you could use a lot of off-ball screens, not just to shoot threes. You can use a lot of off-ball screens to get guys downhill at the paint, which is, I think, for us, a lot of what we're trying to do off the ball, even the misdirection things is, it's almost like using off-ball screens like a zoom or off-ball screens like a ball screen or a zoom, just to create an advantage where guys can now just escape dribble and go get paint and create. So, I mean, we're still at the experimental stage. There's some stuff that we're running that's shit that we got to get rid of, and then there's a lot of stuff that we're running that we like that we could build a lot more counters and different things off of.
Coach, I know you said you wanted to see a little bit more out of Taras, but he had early turnovers, fought back from those, and it seemed like he got hurt a little bit late and still managed to finish the game and make an impact. Is there something you take from that, and what can you take from that?
Yeah, I mean, he's probably just, he's probably at about 80%, just physically with just returning from the hamstring, and just, he hasn't had the practice reps. He's just not totally sharp as he's going to be right now. And again, that's, I think that's great for our team because he's, I'm nitpicking a 21 and 8 game, where he's a pretty dominant player. But just this guy, he's one of the most talented big guys in the country, and he's gonna get a lot sharper and a lot better, as the year goes on. And he's got obviously a big challenge on Wednesday.
Coach, early in both halves, you just punished them in the paint. Was that intentional? Have you seen something on film there, a weakness, or was that something you want to do just as what you're doing this year?
Yeah, I mean, just with Braylon being out, and it's looking good for Braylon. I think, Braylon's progressing nicely. He's working his way back. We could see him, sooner for some of these big games than we originally thought. The guy's a fast healer, but getting him back, I think, is just going to help us space the court better. But I mean, we get paint with Silas now. We could get paint by driving it. We could get paint with him in the ball screen game, hitting a roller because he's tall. We could get paint because we've got great cutters. We could get paint because we've got a center that is hard to guard one-on-one, as hard to guard as anyone in the country one-on-one. So, and we got solo ball. You know, we got Jaden Ross who could shoot the hell out of it. We got Caravan. You know, Bray's going to be back. You know, so we got a lot of shooting. We got a lot of guys that could get paint, and we got bigs we could throw it to. You got it. Or no? You missed it?
Sure, go ahead. Yeah, Silas had a hell of a game today. And, you know, Fana tweeted it was a breakout game. He became a Husky today.
Yeah.
How much fun is it to coach that?
Well, I think it's just it's very comforting to know, just kind of what we have at that position this year is it's potentially high level, and it's a two-way player too. I mean, a guy, he could really guard, and you see that element he brings to our offense, just being able to play off script and just attack, and not everything has to be manufactured through actions and execution. Where, he's a guy that can just go make a play.
Anything else? We good? Last one right here.
What's
Yeah, just wondering where you feel like you guys are at defensively at this point, and if this game and maybe Wednesdays are something you're looking for to learn of what you have.
If you had asked me, if you would have come over with the mic, up 20 with 15 to go, I would have said I would have been so incredibly thrilled by the turnaround from where we were last year, where we were barely a top 100 defense. Now those guys are one of the toughest teams in the country to guard. But I do think that some of what happened in the second half was you get a lead, and you get a lead and you just don't want to give up threes. So that's the way you're going to lose the game. So I think you end up hugging off the ball too much, and now Rob Wright's seeing too many lanes to drive, and Saunders is seeing too many lanes to drive, and they're going 5 out with shooters all over the court. So and then DeBonza's making shots, quite honestly, that I don't know a lot of players are going to make the degree of difficulty shots and isolations one-on-one that guy was making out there. So there's things we got to fix. We got in some foul trouble. That hurt. The wings, who I thought were guarding really well, got in foul trouble. But I think the group's got the potential where the defense won't hold us back from winning championships this year.
Expect a similar challenge Wednesday or a little different?
I mean, Wednesdays, yeah. I mean, that's just great, just so excited to be able to play this caliber of games and just be tested by these type of teams, and give people fun games to watch. I mean, just in November when you're fighting for attention in college basketball, to be able to give fans a game like that, and bringing AJ home and having a game that went down to the wire, an exciting game back in Boston, and Ray Allen in the house and Karan Butler in the house, a couple of the GOATs here, and Wednesday night, who's had a better start to the year than Arizona, beating Florida and going to LA and beating UCLA. So that's just another, I'd imagine top 5 matchup on Wednesday night in I don't know which arena, because we play in 2 different arenas.